Bahamians, your history is not just the history of the Bahamas, it is deeply intertwined with American and British history. Many of you are descendants of slaves brought to these islands during a time of great upheaval. The presence of black people in the Bahamas can be traced back to several key historical events. One, the transatlantic slave trade, 16th to 19th centuries. The first major influx of black people to the Bahamas occurred during the era of the transatlantic slave trade. Enslaved Africans were brought to the Bahamas by European colonizers, primarily the British, to work on plantations. The majority of these enslaved individuals were from West Africa, and they were forced to labor in industries such as agriculture and salt mining. The British settled in the Bahamas in 1648, and by the 18th century, the enslaved population grew as British Loyalists fleeing the American Revolutionary War brought their slaves with them. Stars. 2. Loyalist migration after the American Revolution, late 18th century. After the American Revolutionary War, many Loyalists who remained loyal to the British Crown fled the newly independent United States. Between 1783 and 1785, thousands of white Loyalists and their enslaved Africans migrated to the Bahamas from places like the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. These Loyalists were granted land in the Bahamas, further expanding the enslaved population on the islands. The Loyalist collection stars. 3. The abolition of slavery, 1834. Slavery in the Bahamas, as in other British territories, was abolished in 1834 under the British Emancipation Act. This led to the liberation of thousands of enslaved Bahamians who formed the basis of the modern Bahamian population. However, many of the formerly enslaved people remained in agricultural and labor-intensive roles, facing economic challenges even after emancipation. Caribbean Gen Webb. 4. Liberated Africans, 19th century. Following the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade, the British Royal Navy intercepted many illegal slave ships and resettled liberated Africans in the Bahamas. These Africans were freed from illegal slave ships bound for the Americas and were brought to islands like New Providence, Eleuthera, and Andros, stars. When the American colonies fought for independence, not everyone was ready to break away from Britain. Among them were the Loyalists, who sought refuge on these shores, forever altering Bahamian history. Many Loyalists had deep-rooted economic connections to Great Britain. Imagine merchants whose livelihoods depended on the steady flow of goods across the Atlantic. Picture landowners, their vast estates linked to the British imperial system. They thrived within the established trade routes and vast markets the empire offered. For them, staying loyal to the crown wasn't just a matter of principle. It was economic survival. Independence threatened to unravel their financial security. For the Loyalists, allegiance to the British monarchy was an unshakable belief system. They viewed the British crown as the embodiment of legitimacy and order. To them, the colony's rebellion was a grave act of treason, a betrayal of the established order. They saw the British monarchy as a bulwark against radicalism, ensuring their cherished way of life. Revolution can cast a long shadow of uncertainty and turmoil. The Loyalists, accustomed to British stability, viewed the revolution with foreboding. They feared the fight for independence would descend into lawlessness and violence. In their eyes, the British presence represented a force of order, a safeguard against chaos. Independence was a dangerous leap into the unknown with dire consequences. For many Loyalists, the decision to remain loyal to Britain extended beyond politics or economics. It was a choice deeply intertwined with their everyday lives and the very fabric of their existence. It was deeply rooted in their personal lives, relationships, and sense of identity. Their loyalty was not just a political stance, but a reflection of their heritage and upbringing. Imagine families whose histories spanned generations on both sides of the Atlantic. These families had deep roots and connections that were hard to sever. Picture merchants whose businesses relied on long-established partnerships with British counterparts. Their economic survival and prosperity were closely tied to these transatlantic relationships. These personal connections created a powerful pull towards British society. The social fabric of their lives was interwoven with British customs and traditions. Their loyalty was a commitment to preserving the relationships that gave meaning to their lives. It was about maintaining the bonds that defined their identity and provided a sense of belonging. The American Revolution was a clash of ideologies, a battle between tradition and change, where the old ways met the new. Many loyalists, steeped in traditions and long-standing customs, viewed the revolutionary fervor with trepidation and fear. They saw the world through a conservative lens, wary of radical ideas and the potential chaos they could bring. The changes advocated by revolutionaries threatened to overturn the established order and disrupt their way of life. In their view, the British system represented stability, continuity, and the preservation of cherished traditions. Independence, they feared, would erode the social hierarchies and cultural norms they held dear, leading to an uncertain future. For some loyalists, faith and politics were intertwined. Their allegiance to the British Crown was a sacred duty rooted in their religious beliefs. Anglicans, in particular, felt a profound connection to the British monarchy. To them, rebellion against the Crown was rebellion against God's ordained order. They believed their loyalty was to both the earthly sovereign and divine authority. The American Revolution was a spiritual crisis, a threat to their religious principles. In summary, Bahamians, the British Loyalists, fled America for many reasons: economic security, political beliefs, fear of anarchy, personal ties, cultural conservatism, and religious loyalty. These factors drove them to seek new beginnings in safer territories. They sought refuge in British-controlled territories like the Bahamas, bringing with them the people they enslaved. This migration significantly impacted the social and cultural landscape of the islands. This is part of the complex history that shapes your identity today. The influence of the Loyalists is evident in various aspects of Bahamian life, from architecture to traditions. Their arrival added a unique thread to the rich tapestry of Bahamian society. The blend of cultures and traditions created a vibrant and diverse community. Your history is one of survival, resilience, and deep connections to larger world events. The challenges faced and overcome by your ancestors have shaped the strong, united spirit of the Bahamian people. Remember, your past isn't just a Bahamian story. It's a story that spans across oceans and nations. The legacy of the Loyalists is a testament to the enduring connections between different parts of the world. If you enjoy this history, please like and share our video to spread the rich heritage of the Bahamas.